Cool. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the to another demo, another Thursday. Let's kick off with a little view of the blockers. Actually, cool. So the build logs is making good progress. So they've got that running in production. They're fixing out the last issue, and then planning to increase up to 25% of traffic. So that one hopefully will be progressing nicely. So this second one, the issue's been split out. So we've got these two issues. No great progress on either since our last demo. Are either of these blocking us yet, or are we still good?
I think we're still good for now. It's really not going to be a blocker until we finish up with both HTTPS and SSH. It is also a blocker currently for Action Cable because we don't want to mix that traffic in with the Git HTTPS traffic.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
But
Cool.
It'd be nice to get an idea of like what the time frame is for this. Is it going to be like next week, week after?
The second issue has a milestone of 13.5.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
The
I
other
can
one
add
is
a.
not scheduled.
Yeah. Okay. Let me follow up on those and see if we can actually get a view of when they'll come in. Cool. And then Prometheus metrics.
We decided last meeting that we're just going to move forward without this. I just want to keep it here because I want it known that we don't have metrics coming from just the shell itself.
Right. Yep. Cool. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. And then the other one we had on there was the AZ cross AZ stuff, which I've removed, unblocked on that, which is awesome. And then the pages stuff is in progress. So hopefully we'll be partially unblocked pretty soon on that as well. So good progress, I think. So Jav, do you want to give us a run through of, I wasn't sure if it was a demo or discussion, but like what you wanted to cover for Git HTTPS?
Yeah, sure. I can give an overview. There's not a whole lot to demo here. We're still in the middle of the change issue, and we had a small blocker this morning. But let me just kind of give first an overview of what we have. So. So we have each. Oh, how am I? So we have the Git HTTPS backend, and in each backend is the zonal cluster. So a single zonal cluster, and this depends on the zone of the load balancer. So so there's just one. So for example, we'll just use US East 1B as an example. So B, and then we have a weight of 10. In addition to that, we have 8 VMs, US East 1B, and also a weight of 10. And then we have the regional cluster for Canary with a weight of 5.
And what do
So
the weights indicate?
yeah, so the weight indicates how much traffic is going to each of these servers. So so on a given backend, on an HA proxy node, what you'll see is, or on an HTTPS backend, what you'll see is a single server for the zonal cluster with a weight of 10. Then you'll have 8 virtual machines with a weight of 10, and then you'll have the regional cluster for Canary with a weight of 5. The weight of 5, and how you calculate the percentage of traffic is basically you add up the weights, and then you see what percentage of weight goes to the server. So just kind of like, so we have total weight is 95, and the zonal cluster currently is getting about probably about 10%, 10 over 95, whereas the regional cluster for Canary is getting close to 5%, 5 over 95. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does. Yep.
So what we're doing as part of this change issue is that we are slowly increasing the weight of the zonal cluster. And we do that by issuing the command HA proxy, where so maybe we'll go from 10 to 100 in steps to kind of starting to give more weight. And then eventually, once we have the zonal cluster taking over the majority of traffic and we're confident in it, then we will just remove the VMs altogether. So that's kind of an overview of what we're doing. The estimated pod count in this zone. So for the in the readiness review, we did some kind of rough calculations that in order to have a minimum number of pods to match the compute and memory on the VMs, we will need 150 pods, which is 50 per zone. Currently, I have the min pods is set to 30, which is a change that we made this morning. I first thought we would do 50 to have like the full minimum, but I realized that's going to blow out the number of nodes. Like it basically blows out the number of nodes to 30 VMs across the 3 zones. And since we aren't yet putting all the traffic on the Kubernetes cluster, I want to start with 30 to see how it behaves. And then we'll increase it to 50 if we need to. Does that make sense?
It does. I wonder if if we don't have the size right, if it's too small, what will be the impact?
I don't expect it to be too small because we're going to be kind of ramping up the traffic gradually, and we'll be able to see. If it ends up being too small, then the autoscaler will kick in, and we have like a max of 150 pods. So the reason why I'm setting this floor is just so that when we shift the traffic initially, we don't run the risk of overwhelming it, but we will be doing a gradual transition anyway. So I would say once we do the full transition, what we'll probably want to do is back it off to set a floor that's you know, something that will allow us to scale up and down the traffic.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. And do you did you have all the like what's the kind of logging and dashboarding and stuff that we have for this one?
Yeah, sure. So I put some links here of what I'm paying attention to. We have logs in the Git overview dashboard. This is sort of the basic stuff that we're looking at. So what I'm doing here is saying I'm looking at type equals Git. I'm looking for only things that are coming from Kubernetes, and I don't want to look at the canary stage right now, and I'm just filtering out readiness checks. So these are the logs, and then we have the Git overview. The Git overview doesn't help us too much just because it's not possible to, well, with this dashboard, it's not possible to differentiate Kubernetes and non-Kubernetes traffic. So I think this gives you like, this overview will give us like, okay, are we meeting our SLOs overall as we shift traffic over? But I'm looking at other things as well. So most of my focus is on latency and looking at the 50th and 95th percentile of latency for both Workhorse and Rails. So here's what we have, a direct comparison of virtual machines versus Kubernetes. Kubernetes is on the top, virtual machines are on the bottom. So this is doing a query basically for not Kubernetes and Kubernetes. This is Workhorse percentiles, 50th and 95th percentile. You can see that it looks like VMs are doing much worse than Kubernetes so far. Like on the 95th percentile, we're seeing all these like little spikes that go up. I know that we believe that the Git fleet is under provisioned right now, and that like this could be related to that. We aren't sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens to these two graphs as we start moving more traffic over. Right now, we only have 10% of traffic in the Kubernetes cluster, so I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Another thing that sort of conflates this, and Skyback, I'm curious what your thoughts on this are, is that right now on the Git VMs, we mix both SSH and Git HTTPS traffic. On the Kubernetes cluster, we're only doing Git HTTPS. So it might be interesting for us to do a more apples-to-apples comparison. We could remove some of the VMs from Git SSH traffic and just have like VMs just doing Git HTTPS versus Kubernetes just doing Git HTTPS.
That would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about that right now. I think the transition to Kubernetes for Git HTTPS is going to go on until Monday or Tuesday, because I just want to be super slow and careful with it. Here's a similar graph for Rails. And again, it's interesting. We see this same spike. Now for the Rails is only showing Git HTTPS because Git SSH, well, that's not true actually. Yeah, there's only authorization requests are going through Rails, but I would say most of these requests are coming from Git HTTPS. You can see again, like the 95th percentile here is fairly steady for Kubernetes, and we see like these spikes, spikes up to like a half a second, where here we're like down in like 0.15 second consistently. For the 50th percentile, it jumps around a bit, but I would say, yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see as we start to shift more traffic over what these graphs look like. It's possible that we're going to be performing better in Kubernetes just because it seems like we're a bit under provisioned in the Git VM fleet.
Very nice. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
I did just so I mentioned there was a blocker. The blocker I found was that we don't have the metrics yet in Thanos, so our RPS, you can see here, like as soon as I started to shift traffic into the Kubernetes cluster, this started to go down. And that's just because we have Prometheus running in the clusters, but Thanos, which is our aggregator for metrics, which is like feeds into the dashboards, wasn't configured yet for the zonal clusters. So that's fixed now. So hopefully the next run we will see the RPS stay constant. This was a bit concerning. load balancer component error rates. I need to dig into this a little bit more. So this started to creep up as I started to move traffic over. And oddly, it seemed like the errors were coming not from Kubernetes, but from the virtual machines. So I don't know what exactly is going on there. I'm going to do a smaller jump on the next, because I already reverted after this. I started to see this climb. I just like undid, set the weight back to what it was before. So we never got an alert because we were below our SLO for this. But next time I'm going to maybe do a smaller jump to see if we're going to see errors again.
Do you have any idea of what might be causing that?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
That is pretty much it. Yeah, you can see here, like we were seeing mostly 500 errors, and they were actually coming from the virtual machines. When I dug into the 500 errors, it wasn't clear yet. It wasn't clear to me yet what's causing them. So I just need to look into that a bit more. And yeah, so I'm kind of waiting for this query to return. There we go. So this looks like it's canary. Let's take out canary. Yeah, so still no metrics in Thanos, so we have to wait for. I just did a chef MR to add the zonal cluster endpoints to the Thanos configuration. So once that's done, then we should start seeing metrics. So that's it for demo. Any other questions?
No, not for me, I don't think.
If not, Scarbeck, do you have anything?
I've got one discussion item.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. With the addition of the zonal clusters and the addition of the new Thanos related work that's been coming down from the observability team, I have a worry and concern that our existing metrics and our logging mechanisms are not going to keep up with the changes that we have yet to place on our runbooks. And I have this fear that eventually we're going to have some form of outage, and we're not going to have a quick and easy way to decipher where the problem might lie. Due to this fear, I kind of want to see us try to focus on tech debt in the future. Like, I don't know what's coming up next after we finish what we can with Sidekick, and after Jar finishes up the Git HTTPS stuff. I don't know what's really next. But I would love to see some improvements made to our dashboards. And I would love to see we also have the Helm upgrade, which has been stuck forever. I would love to see us get out of the Helm 2 version because it's kind of crappy. I don't know how to steer us in the direction to focus on tech debt. I know we've got an Epic that captures this data, but I'm hoping this is also, the opposite of our OKR. But I'm wondering, what do we need to do to try to figure out what can we do to ensure confidence in our runbooks and our monitoring to ensure that now that we've got our multiple clusters, how can we share the learnings that we've got so far, and how can we expand upon the data that we currently have such that future SREs that are on call aren't stuck relying on us? And even I am not fully up to speed with the zonal clusters as far as Jarv is. So even I would have problems initially troubleshooting certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do to sell us that we need to work on stuff like this in the future?
Well, I think that was great, guys. I think I'm fully sold. Like, I think it's a good point for us to review this stuff, like with having the multi-cluster stuff unblocks the Helm upgrade. I think like it's a great point once we finish the Git migrations to actually take some time and actually review what we have and dashboards and runbooks and things.
Yeah, I think what would help for me, Scarbeck, is since you have a fresher set of eyes on this stuff, maybe kind of give us an idea of what you want to see. Because, yeah, I was talking to Amy about this in our one-on-one this week, and I think as soon as this migration is complete, we're gonna improve both the architecture overview and the documentation and the runbooks. And I'm not sure what, so some ideas that I've had is, one is like, how do you configure your workstation to troubleshoot each zonal cluster with
Yeah.
kubectl? So that would be the first thing, right? Next is the endpoints for Prometheus. I mean, those are kind of the same. You just substitute out the cluster name, but we can write that down somewhere. What else? I mean, do you maybe?
Well, I think our next part would be dashboards and metrics. We don't have any sort of saturation metric or alerting for our clusters at all. If for whatever reason one of our clusters starts to take more traffic, something might be wrong
Yeah.
with Google's routing traffic, for example. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. We're going to have the cluster in US East 1B spin up a crap ton of pods and also spin up some nodes to match it. And we're not going to understand why. It'd be good to know if we had some sort of saturation alerting or just some sort of dashboard to look at to figure out how well distributed our traffic is occurring. That way, in
Yeah.
times of dire need or outages, we have that ability to say, oh, look, something is wrong with cluster sitting in US 1D, stuff like that.
So I was thinking like maybe we could talk to Andrew about this, but maybe just having a region filter on our general service dashboards.
Yeah.
That would help at the high level.
Similar to that, some of our Kubernetes dashboards don't work. So I'm not sure what information they would display, but we also don't have information based on like a node that is going haywire in comparison to other nodes. So like we have individual node dashboards, but we don't have an overview that says, hey, you've got this one node that's just barely hanging on, but the rest of the cluster is fine. So we can't determine whether or not a specific, for example, sidekick shard is struggling based on its current workload unless we go to every individual node on our dashboard and compare those numbers in like different tabs of Grafana, and that would be horrible. That's a horrible user experience for an SRE. I don't know how to improve that off the top of my head, but I think we need to make some improvements to how we use the Kubernetes mixin to gather our dashboards together.
Yeah, it was my understanding we're going to just deprecate the mixin dashboards and fold what we want into the general dashboards. So that's
just build our own.
It's a little bit more work, but first we need to figure out what we need and what we want to see.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can like maybe work with the observability team on this.
I created a few issues and associated them with the tech debt epic that we have created in our backlog that contains a few additional things that I would like to see. That one revert that you had yesterday, late your time, I created an issue about that because I thought it was kind of odd that we had a spike in nodes in one zone and not the others. And I'd like to figure out if we could address that in some way, shape, or form.
You mean the you mean the 50, setting the min pods to 50 and that created?
Yeah.
No, there was nothing unusual there. I applied it in 2 zones, and then I saw that we spiked up to 10, so I didn't apply it to the 3rd zone, and that's when I reverted it.
Gotcha.
So there was nothing unusual there, and I think, I mean, I wanted to increase the maximum because our max node autoscale, limit was 10, so I didn't want to like be running at like the max.
Gotcha. Okay, so I probably interpreted that statement incorrectly. So I probably created an issue that that we could probably close because of that. So
yeah.
All right.
So what I have then is like we add a region filter to the general dashboards. We take a look at the pod info dashboard and incorporate that into the general dashboard. And then we take a look at maybe whatever information we need about nodes, we incorporate that into the general dashboard as well.
Yeah.
I think.
And then improving our runbooks that's necessary for helping people troubleshoot stuff.
Shall I put in a new epic that we could pull this stuff into and have like a kind of a, I don't know, like it's kind of like cluster hardening or something like along those lines?
Yeah.
And then we could pull in anything you've got from the tech debt issue, plus all these new ones, Helm upgrade. So we've got a place to point everything to.
I mean, we do have, I think Scarbeck created an epic a long time ago that's called like technical debt.
Yeah, we do have a technical debt one. I mean,
I don't know.
we could go
It's
with that
just
one.
a bucket of issues.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, because we won't be tackling all of it. Whether it's useful to have an epic that kind of just explains like where we're up to and what our goal is right now.
If I were to like put this into a bucket, I would call it like cluster observability and troubleshooting or something like that.
Yeah,
and,
something like yeah.
And maybe I wouldn't even necessarily call it technical debt. I would just say, because it's a lot of it's going to be documentation, although some of it is the monitoring stuff. But yeah, I would just call it that, and then we can, I guess, prioritize that epic after Git HTTPS and Git SSH are done.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Then we could just pull in anything that we think, like review this dashboard or write this document. We've got a few things on the board already. So I'm kind of assuming we will focus and get like all the Git stuff, Git SSH, Git HTTPS completed. So if there's issues outstanding for those, it'd be great to get them onto the delivery build board. But following that, we've got the issue around ensuring we can put zonal clusters into maintenance. I hope that's possible already.
That's not possible yet.
Okay.
But that's something that I was going to work on. I mean, we can, I was thinking that we were going to do that after the Git HTTPS migration.
Okay, yeah, we should do it before too long. So yeah, okay, cool. So that one's on there.
Yeah.
And we've got, this was a bit more of a placeholder, but document how to debug the multi-cluster setup, which I think maybe ties in a bit more what you were saying, Scarbeck.
Yeah.
So
That's
maybe
precisely what I'm asking for, yeah.
a slightly bigger thing. But anyway, we can start there. Job, do you think it'd be worth doing a retrospective readiness review for the multi-cluster?
Well, we never did a readiness review specific to multi-cluster, but yeah, maybe a retrospective for just how it went.
Well, would a retrospective be a good form, or maybe doing a readiness review and just letting
Well,
people...
it's a bit late to do a readiness review.
I mean, it is late, but like, I think there's still value in having other people look at our notes about it.
Yeah, and I think it's the sort of thing which I can imagine it to be a useful documentation piece in the future. Like
exactly, yeah.
We'll look back on that.
Yeah,
so,
then let's just jump to documentation, and I think that the challenge there is just figuring out where to put it. We have too many markdown documents as it is in the runbook doc directory under uncategorized, and it's just like, so I think maybe we should try to take another look at all those documents, consolidate them a bit as part of this. I just feel like it's like adding another document is like, it's just getting to be extreme at this point.
What if we add it to the handbook so we can have Google search it for us?
No, I don't think it should go in the handbook.
I was joking, Jarv.
Yeah.
But I do think a readiness review would also still be useful, because
definitely
like gets people to review it. And I say, even though there's lots of documentation, I think if people expect to be able to find a readiness review and they live in a certain place, I think it could be a nice entry point into other documentation.
But to me, readiness reviews are like for the moment. Like, they're not something that we maintain. We don't go back and we don't go back and update them. I'd rather just do documentation for the architecture of the multi-cluster and troubleshooting, and also keep it up to date.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that also sounds like a great thing to do.
Okay.
Do you think you'll get the same level of review? Like, because what I think the difference for me is that the documentation is kind of a telling everyone here's how it is, whereas a readiness review is a little bit more inviting critique into here's how we have it set up.
I don't think there's anything wrong with creating a documentation piece and treating it as a readiness review process. we could just take the same process we do for the readiness review and apply it to a documentation update.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So let's invite people to make suggestions if they have them.
Thanks. I changed it a couple days ago. It's feeling better.
Cool. Okay.
The other thing I want to
Oh,
bring
yeah.
up
I went
is
with, library
logging.
for Halloween.
I don't.
Yes.
I hate logging
I like
right
it a
now.
lot, too. I really do.
Like Jarv showed his screen for a split second, and we saw just nothing but new lines because of the way tailing or logs in the state.out works. And I realize the distribution team has this in their
I wash my hair about twice.
backlog to work on. Is there any way we could try to figure out how to, like, I don't know, whether it's us contributing or helping them along? Like, I would love to solve this before you start moving any new services over, because it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah, you have like the perfect blonde.
Well,
You could do any color.
we sort of decided as a group that we were fine turning off the unstructured log and moving forward,
Yeah.
even though we're getting log data that we don't really need to see in Elasticsearch.
There's
The
just a
solution
lot
here
of
is going to be,
garbage.
yeah, so I guess that state-of-the-art logging issue is the one that's tracking it, and it's a question of whether we're going to use that logger wrapper or not.
Yeah.
Right when I put in my notice. They're really putting me to work these last few weeks.
But I think if you have a suggestion for how, like, no problem at all with us contributing to stuff if there's something in progress, like if there is a issue that captures what you'd like the logs to look like, feel free to raise that up and we'll see what we can do with that.
Sure. I'll chase down their epic and see if there's any way I could contribute to it in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, sounds good. Cool.
I think that's all I've got for my discussion item.
Awesome. And I say we'll also be able to do the Helm upgrade as well as alongside all the stuff. So.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
We should definitely review what's on the issue and see where we're at. Do you think it'll be painful?
Yeah. I tried it once. I worked on it for about 3 or 4 months, and then I hit a blocker right when I was about to execute it, and I'm like, well, crap, that sucks. I don't want to work on it.
Okay, review that stuff. But cool. Shall we take a quick look at the board and see if we've got... So at the moment, we've got, so the ones related to, well, actually, so this enable action cable issue, Jarv, like, is that one that we actually want to keep in progress, or do you want to like separate it out and come back to that?
I think we can move it into the blocked column.
Is there anything we need to do to unblock that? Are we waiting? I saw there was a discussion. Are we waiting on other people?
Yeah, we're waiting on the distribution team.
Cool. Okay. So Scobet, you've got your readiness review stuff, investigating log stuff, catch all going on. And Jarv, you've got investigating memory profile for pods. You've got intermittent error and the zonal deployments, and you've got the workhorse stuff. Is there any other, and actually that's, I think, all we've got. So do we have any other issues from Git HTTPS or Git SSH that we want to pull into this board?
Yeah. Everything inside of the epic that I'm working on should be on this build board. If it's missing the label, I'll go back through and add it.
Awesome. And if there's anything like on there that is you're not yet working on, feel free to stick the ready label on so that it's here and you can just pull it in when ready.
They all have the triage label associated with them.
I'm almost wondering whether we should just add the triage column so we can pull them over. We'll see how that goes. It'd be one less label to have to manually change.
Well, if a our bot will add the triage label if a workflow infra label was not added. So
Oh, that's true.
I
We've got
guess
the other
that's
issue.
primarily
Like,
up to you and how you decide to set up the workflow.
that's true. We'll change it so when we assign someone assigns themselves, then it will go to in progress. That's fine. Cool. And Jav, do you have any extra ones that you want to pull in, either in progress or ready for the Git HTTPS?
I mean, anything. I think every issue in the Git HTTPS epic is ready to be picked up.
Okay. Okay,
So we
cool.
put labels on those.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get a few of those on the ready column.
I'm just double checking now, but I think so.
Okay.
Except for the action cable one, I think the post-migration analysis of WebSocket nodes, maybe we should just combine this with Git HTTPS. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
but so that one's not ready yet, but the other two, I would say are, well, one of them is assigned to me. So yeah, there's just like that, not that many left.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Nice. Okay.
Amy, I wonder if you should create a board that's like a copy of this, but just filter on the Kubernetes label. That way we don't see all the stuff from the rest of the released delivery team.
Ooh, that's interesting. So we can add the label. Like you can, it's not super hard to tweak this to dive in. The main reason I think we should probably have it as a kind of a temporary, we jump in, is just so that you get some more visibility of what the others are working on.
Oh,
So we
certainly.
don't
I'm
end
just
up with
saying for
everything.
this particular meeting,
For this
we
chat,
don't
you're
care
right.
about.
Yeah. Or everything. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So this is what we've got at the moment. Cool. Okay. Sounds good. I'll create that epic and ping you on it so we can start pulling in anything that we think would be useful to tackle in our kind of next phase.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Great. I've got one question for Jarv that's not necessarily part of this meeting. If we want to end the meeting, and Jarv, if you could hang back for 5 minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Speak
Thank you,
later.
Amy. Jarv, question.
Yeah.
I was looking at our logs. I'll share my screen really quickly because I don't know what makes this.
Oh wow. That's
But I noticed, if you can see my screen, right?
Oh, interesting.
Where did these come from?
Okay.
Is FluentD causing this? Like, is there something wrong with the way I built FluentD or configured FluentD?
I don't think you did anything strange, right?
I just copied and pasted what we probably currently had elsewhere. I didn't
So
look at the FluentD configuration after I saw this,
yeah,
so I don't know why this is
like
happening.
we shouldn't have indexes specific to zones.
But I also don't know what all these numbers are.
Those are just the rollovers. Like those are the so the ones without the numbers are the US East 1, B, D, and C. Those are the ones that are weird.
Yeah.
But there's not that much in them.
Well, this is also production, and they're not taking any traffic, so this is probably just pods starting and stopping as they get deployed, and
Yeah.
that's it. But like if I go
But
to crap. Discover. I don't see that in here, which I thought was strange. Is that expected? Like, and I could do like yeah, Kubernetes doesn't even show up in here. So I don't even know what's inside of that index. And I don't know how to look just specifically at that index either. Hi, Marin.
Hi, everyone.
I think what I would do is probably delete the indexes and we can see if they're recreated, but I think that
Okay.
they're just junk, but I don't know what created them. That's really strange. And if you see logs going into pub/sub shell and gprod now, then like do you see your Kubernetes logs?
No, like if I
Going
try to
into-
do a filter and I, start typing Kubernetes, there's nothing, there's no
Okay, so
field
that's
prefix with Kubernetes.
that's definitely a problem. I'll need to take a look to see, because we should at least have something, right?
Yeah, like that, because based on that, I was expecting to see like the zones show up here, but they don't in this drop down.
Yeah, so do you see logs for staging?
I never
logs
looked
for
at
pre-prod?
staging, but for pre, I did see logs like I expected to, because that's where I've been doing most of my testing so far. I did not look at staging at this because I saw this while we were having the meeting. So
Uh-huh.
Okay.
no, I do not see Kubernetes in here. So this one have the same problem. I do this so very little. I have no clue what I'm doing half the time. Index management. Yeah, staging is suffering from the same issue. And it
That's
has data in there.
interesting.
So we're gathering logs, but they're not searchable for some reason.
Oh, that's the wrong. It's the wrong. So there's definitely a configuration problem here. This could be related to the zonal cluster refactor. And well, clearly it's related to the zonal cluster refactor where it's using, instead of gstage, it's using gstage US East X, right? So we just need to fix that.
Well, how come
Do you
this
want
is
me to?
only
Do you want
happening
to
to
take a?
the
We could take a
shell?
look. That's a good question. I don't know, but we can
Why
take a
did this happen
look
to
at
all
it
the stuff
together.
you've been working on?
I don't know, but
You want to share your
we can take
screen
a,
and
yeah, we can take a look at it together.
because I have no clue what to look at. Marin, we ended the meeting. I just asked Jar for some assistance on something, so I don't know if you
If
really
you don't
want
mind me just being fly on the wall, I would sit here. If you would prefer to be alone here, I can
No,
leave
no.
the meeting.
No.
So probably what happened here, Scarbeck, do you see this? See these lines?
Oh.
So when I did the
EMV
refactor,
prefix versus environment.name.
yeah. So
Okay,
I
so I was
substituted.
just slightly behind when we did this work. Okay, so we just need to change that to EMV prefix and we should be okay.
Yeah, but does this, like, first of all, since you know where to look for this stuff, like it's in the Fluent Elasticsearch,
Yeah.
GitLab Helm files. There's this values file, and then what we do is we have these index names, and then this name corresponds to is a glob.
File name. Yep.
It's a glob. It's actually star GitLab _ GitLab workhorse star. We put the star before and after, and it looks for /var/log/containers, and then that name, and then it goes into this index.
Okay. So you and I were just stepping on top of each other because I was
Yeah,
inserting stuff into it as you were doing the multi-cluster.
yeah.
So
I think I
a step
probably
behind you.
merged my stuff first, and this came in after or something.
Okay. All right, I'll get a merge
Um,
request in to fix this then. So when I fix this, do I need to manually delete these indexes? Is that going to cause an issue at all?
you can probably, I mean, I think they'll eventually be deleted on their own. You could check with observability guys, but I think
Okay.
it doesn't hurt to delete them either.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I'll get this fixed shortly. I was wondering why I couldn't find my logs. I was like, what?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thanks for that assistance, sir. I greatly appreciate it. Alrighty. Well, that's all I got then, man.
Cool. Marin, since you're joining a bit late, just to give you a quick update on GitHTTPS, we currently have around 10% of the traffic going into the Kubernetes cluster. Saw that there was a problem with Thanos getting the metrics in for the zonal clusters, so that's fixed now.
Okay.
And I'm going to be like slowly ramping up the traffic a little bit more today, but the expectation is that this is not going to complete tomorrow. I think it's going to go into Monday or Tuesday, unless if things look like they're going very smoothly. We're just going very slow.
Okay.
The way,
No,
the
that's
way
fine.
that, and the way it works now is that we have both the cluster and all of the virtual machines in the HTTPS backend, and then we just like increasing the weight of the GK cluster slowly over time in intervals, and that allows us to kind of like slowly move traffic over.
What is,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I just want to say like the performance is suspiciously good, which, you know, like compared to the Git VM fleet, we're seeing on VMs, we're seeing like the 95th percentile is very spiky. On Kubernetes, it's very flat and it's good. So that sounds good, but it also is perplexing. Although I do think that the Git fleet is a tad under provisioned. It's also a bit hard for us to compare apples to apples because
We have
Git
other traffic.
VMs, yeah, Git VMs are sort of doing both Git SSH. So we were thinking about taking some Git VMs and just putting Git HTTPS on them just to compare for point of comparison. This could be something we could do.
So how about, I mean, I support in doing this a bit more careful because it's a huge possibility for an outage. What kind of confidence do you need to get in order to, for example, jump from 10% traffic to like 25 and then to 50 instead of 10, 15, 20? Like what apart from that spikiness that you're not sure about, like what else?
Yeah, that I'd like to, and also just, I mean, I saw that, I think once we have proper metrics going to Thanos properly, then I was losing some visibility because of that. I was just looking at logs. So we'll see. I think my target is to, I was hoping to have 50% of the traffic in today. It looks like that might happen tomorrow. And then we'll let that sit over the weekend and then go to 100 early next week.
I have a suggestion. You don't have to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel isolated in this, and both that means for both of you, you and well, both Johns. If you want to get a bit more of a confidence, consider getting the SRE on call to join you and increase traffic together and just look at things together and like chat things with multiple people just to see different perspectives there. And you also like roll them into the rollout. So maybe someone tells you like something that you're not seeing, or maybe someone gives you more confidence or less confidence. And yeah, I don't expect you to roll out all of the traffic. That's up to you. But at the same time, it would be nice to also involve more than just the two of you, so you can get a bit more questions.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And especially for whoever's doing the weekend shift, maybe involve them to, you know, make sure they know how to turn it off if they need to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. How did you resolve the
All right.
workhorse stuff, or did you decide to put that on the side for now?
Resolve the what?
Not resolve, but mitigate the workhorse being deployed from master.
That's not, yeah.
That's fine.
Skarbek, are you up to speed on that?
I am not. What's
You-
going on?
Oh, so
It's fun.
our we're auto deploying workhorse on master right now to the Kubernetes cluster, which is different than what we're deploying to the VMs.
I thought we fixed that with that chart change. What
Yeah.
happened?
I don't know what happened. I don't think this was ever working, man. Like
Doesn't
when
look-
we tag CNG, it picks up the latest version of workhorse. So we're using the tagged version of workhorse. That's fine, but it's actually we're using the tagged image, the tagged CNG image, but it's actually the latest version of workhorse that was available at the time that CNG was tagged. Does that make sense?
Workhorse is actually built from SHA. So if you take a look at the version of Workhorse, it actually differs at different
Yeah.
times
Yeah,
because it's
that's-
built from a master version.
yeah.
It's a moving
Well, this
target.
doesn't sound good.
Well, no, it's
Well-
continuous deployment, man.
I mean, yes, but it's not necessarily the version that's compatible with that version of GitLab, right?
It's not what we expect, no. I think
Yeah.
that's the main danger. But luckily, this traffic is a bit... I think it would be much worse if we were sending an API traffic to it.
Yeah.
Right? For Git HTTPS, I spoke with Jarvo already. This is basically, Workhorse is only a proxy.
So
We're
is
just
there
adding in seconds.
is there a desire to fix this, or are we just going to let it be? Okay, because I didn't know this was a problem. I never saw an issue, so I had no idea.
There is an
Yeah.
issue. Jarvo created one, but there is a desire to fix it. It's more about the order of it. Like, do we stop the world now to fix this or take on some risk? So we decided to talk about what the risk is, and we're deciding to take a bit of risk, but then the two corrective actions as we roll things out are that and also the shutting off traffic between clusters.
So I guess, how did you determine this was a situation? Because I had not looked at GitLab shell, and I would hope it's not suffering from the same problem.
There is a large chance it's suffering from the same thing.
Yeah, I would say almost certainly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess I
would
could
say
look at the latest auto deploy and see if the version of shell changed.
just like SSH to a VM and go to your container and do just run the binary with version flag and see if it's the same.
For Shell, you can do that, right? Shell doesn't have a binary. It's a Ruby project.
Oh, right.
I thought GitLab shell was Golang.
No. Oh, no.
I could have sworn it was.
I don't remember.
We did do some refactorings and changed GitLab shell around, but I didn't think that we removed all of it, or rather moved all of it.
Let's see.
On the project, it's 85.6% Go and
Yeah, it's
13.6
Golang.
Ruby.
So maybe it has a version flag. If it does, then we can.
Then it's
Alright,
easy.
I guess I'll find that out and
Yeah.
create a new issue if necessary.
Look at that. Look at that. It is. Wow. Okay. We did rewrite it in Go. Anyway, like the VM is not going to be a good test. You need to test the image. You need to pull an image, pull a tagged image, and
I'll
see
probably
it.
just do an exec into a running container.
Yeah, just exec
on the
into the
cluster.
container.
Yeah,
and you can,
that's
that's what I did. Yeah.
Actually, we could do that easily, can't we? Well, no, we can't. I thought we could do this easily by using our integration. What I mean is the deploy boards and the terminal, but I think it only works for registry.
Haven't
You know what
looked
I'm
at that
talking
stuff
about?
in a while. Yeah. I think last time I looked at this, it's missing like a lot of pods.
Yes.
Where was that? GitLab.com.
Ooh, that page is refusing to load.
I don't even know how to get to that page.
Environments. Yeah, it takes me directly to registry. So I think we only configure that probably, or when I say we, I mean Jarv.
Well,
Because
we
he was playing
configured it
with this.
for every deployment object, but for some reason it's not picking up everything.
I wonder if this is the case of iteration.
Also, there's no way we're running 820 GitLab registry pods. There's no way that's accurate.
What makes
Our
it-
max count is not over 300, I think. It's not even over 150, I think.
All right, that's a different problem.
Yep.
Cool. All right, thanks, Jar, for the update. Good progress. I do like it. I do like that we are being a bit careful there as well. So thanks for doing that.
Marion, I feel like the last time I saw you, you were suffering from heat stroke because it was so hot in Amsterdam, and here you are in a sweatshirt.
Yeah, funny how what 2 months can do, huh? All right, need to drop off for the next call.
All right,
Have a good one.
y'all have a great one.